Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Internet Dads. My name's Spencer. His name is
Rory.
And we are dads.
We are.
How's dad life, Rory?
Really hard. I'm really struggling at the moment.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm in the trenches.
What's changed? Well, nothing, I guess.
No, but it's suddenly hit me. I don't know if it's got to that stage. You know, maybe the euphoria of being a new dad has.
I'm not sure I ever saw the euphoria. Maybe a couple of days of it.
But maybe that has hit, and just the tiresome relentlessness has hit.
Are you getting any help? Like
no
grandparents? You getting any?
No, not really. Not really. Like, just for the record, like, you look at how I'm speaking about this. I'm saying I'm in the trenches. I'm using like war analogies. I don't really do anything. Victoria does it all.
Yeah.
But
you're like the colonel at the back going, go and have a
But the ramifications are quite significant to me. We've got a new setup.
Yeah, your office is...
We've got that, but we've got a new approach because my work ethic, which, to be totally frank with you, has never been Lutheran, but my work ethic has diminished massively since Pandora came along. I've just struggled.
Some people will be on paternity leave right now.
Exactly.
I messaged you the other day. I said you were straight back into it, weren't you?
Exactly. But as a result, sort of my own YouTube channel, for example, has really taken a hit. I haven't been across things the way that I would. So what I've done, we had a conversation, Victoria and I, and we've adopted the 5-2 diet, which is...
Okay.
I now do 2 nights a week, and Victoria does everything else.
Why is that 5-2?
Because there's 7 days. 7 days. If you listen to Craig David, it becomes very apparent.
Okay,
there are 7 days in a week.
Right, got it.
7 days. 2 of them across the entire 7, I will do. So the nights, Victoria.
Same
will go
days
to bed.
every week or not?
No, whenever I like.
Whenever you like.
Whenever I like. Whenever it's convenient for work. So, for example, if I could go back to bed the next morning, it makes sense for me to do the previous night. Yeah. So we're trying a new system now, and I'm quite looking forward to it. Yeah.
Is that a system that you've seen somewhere else that you've learned from? Have you created it yourself?
No. Like Pandora, because Pandora is quite well behaved. It doesn't need to be that we're both on it. Like with Clementine, it was like, honestly, like the bombs were going off. It was both of us up, both of us changing, lights on, washing machine on, wild. This isn't that. So now we're just going to try the 5-2 separation and hope that will enliven me a bit.
Okay.
How are you?
You'll
Tell me the news.
You'll get through it.
I'm not getting through it.
You will.
Struggling.
You're going to get through it.
I'm a man on the brink. I'm a man on the edge. I'm a shadow of the man that I once was, and he wasn't particularly impressive. So
we know this is the storm. You're in the middle of the storm.
Yeah. This is it, man. This is like, you know that. Do you remember that film Twister when we were kids and the cow got launched?
Well, they made a new one.
I'm the cow.
You're the.
I'm that cow that's just been launched across Middle America.
But that interesting fact, that cow's still alive in real life.
He got through it.
Yeah, he got through it.
Tell me all the news, the gossip, the scandal in the Spencer household.
I've actually got some breaking news.
Oh,
fresh off the bat today as we record this. Dropped off my oldest at nursery, and the nursery teacher has said, "Can we have a chat?" And I've said, "Oh dear, what's happened here?" So he runs off, and I'm like, "What's going on?" She goes, "I need to talk to you about a conversation." And I go, "Right, okay." She goes, "Yesterday we were sitting down, and one of the kids said, I've got 2 nannies. And they're all saying how many nannies they've got. And then the teacher said, "Oh, I had 2 nannies, but they're not with us anymore." And my oldest goes up to her and says, "Did someone kill them?"
Oh no.
And she's like, "What's that?" And he goes, "Did someone kill them?" This is the face she did when she told the story. And she was like, "No, mate, no, no one killed them. We don't really use those words. They just got old, and that's what happens." And he was like, "Okay." So I asked her about it, and I was like, "How did he ask? Did he seem worried? Did he seem interested in the idea of killing?" Yeah, you could worry about these sort of things. And she was like, "No, it wasn't that. He just was intrigued." And I have heard that word throw about, and she said that word's going around the nursery. The kids are sort of going, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you." And he said it a few times. Like even this morning, actually, before we went to nursery, we were playing around with this little boxing thing I've got. We were punching this little boxing bag. And it hit him, and he fell down. He went, "Oh, I'm dead. And it's all silly, but it's just like, it's 4.
Do you know where he's learned the language?
It has to be something he's watched on TV, I think. All the other kids at nursery, we don't use those words with him. Yeah. So, like, it has to be... And we had an episode recently, didn't we? We talked about the concept of death. And I took him to my nan and granddad's grave and stuff, and we talked about spirits and all these things. But we definitely haven't been talking about killing. He does this other thing he does. He doesn't, like, he picks up, like, a broom or something. He goes, poo, 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 like a gun. Yeah. So he's obviously been doing gun play. Well, it's all just boys will be boys, I think. But I want to make sure, I have to talk to him maybe later, that he's not actually concerned about the concept of either death or being killed. Because that's like... it's just never good, is it?
No. It's terrifying. Clementine did something similar once to my mum. And it really shocked my mum. My mum was laughing her head off, but it really shocked her. She had this sort of, it wasn't a gun, it was like a catapult. And she was young, she was only about 2. She looked at my mum and she went like that to my mum. I'll blow your head off.
Yeah, they say stuff like this.
My mum went, what?
Where did they hear it from?
No idea.
It's got to be TV.
And my mum, in quite an accusatory way, went to me, where's she heard that? I went, Mum, I've got no idea.
You're going around
what I can guarantee you, Mum, I'll give you my word on this, I didn't say it.
Yeah.
But where she picked it up, I do not know.
Yeah, man, you never know. I mean, even we were watching a film the other day. What was it? It was Garfield, I think. It was PG, right? So I'm thinking, like, what is it? I couldn't even remember what PG meant. I know it means parental guidance, but it's like, does that mean someone his age can watch it?
No, that's you, I believe.
Well, you is universal, so anyone can watch it all age. PG is basically saying if your parents think it's all right, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, but how do I know if it's all right? I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So how do you decide? Like, it's not like the movie says, this is Garfield, it features these words and these things and these things. I mean, it was fine, Garfield.
Was it all right?
It was, yeah, I think it was. I mean, I think I have exposed him to some stuff probably that maybe some parents wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I'm not talking anything explicit here. We're just talking like, like Spider-Verse and stuff like that. He watched him when he was like 3 years old, Spider-Man. That has some people dying in it and stuff.
Yeah. No, it's really difficult. You know, I took Pandora to the cinema. They do this thing at the Everyman where you can take a baby. And I took Pandora to see the new Bridget Jones. Not because I particularly want to see it, just because it was on and I needed somewhere to go.
More than a PG.
Yeah, and I was aware, like I fell asleep for the whole thing. But what I saw of the film, there was, like the innuendo that you would expect in Bridget Jones. It's a very good film, but the innuendo.
Yeah.
Pandora don't know what day it is, right?
Go over there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But I was a bit like, whoa. She was like 3 weeks. I was like, whoa, she can't hear that.
No, yeah. Oh, she was 3 weeks old?
Yeah, she was in
like recently.
No, Pandora.
There's a new one, isn't there?
No, that's the one I'm talking about, Pandora.
Oh, sorry, I'm getting mixed
Pandora,
up. I'm getting mixed up.
She's only 6 weeks.
You took your 3 week. Okay, so that's fine. They can't hear any of that.
But I started panicking.
Yeah.
I started panicking. You know, when there was like the little bits of innuendo that obviously exists in a fairly large way in Bridget Jones. I was thinking, don't say that in front of my 3-week-old child.
But you have the one. Well, I guess that's why they let you bring the babies in, because they kind of know they don't know what's
they don't know what
really for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's why I love shows like The Simpsons and things, because there's so many jokes in The Simpsons that I might have even laughed at 10, but I now know I had no idea what the joke was about. And you actually can watch them as adults and think that's quite clever, because they've slipped it in knowing that no kids will ever figure it out, but the adults enjoy it. Yeah. And I think that's quite clever when comedy does that. You got stuff like South Park, which is just explicit. And I used to watch that a lot when I was a kid. I used to watch the South Park movie every day before school.
Really?
I'd put it on video and watch it, and I knew the whole movie off by heart.
Isn't it amazing?
Commentate it in the dark.
Isn't it amazing how the South Park generation, bearing in mind like the jokes, like I was never really into it, but the jokes, and I've seen clips and some of the stuff that was said and the innuendo and sometimes just the explicit language.
Yeah.
The people that kind of grew up on that are now very delicate people.
Well, I watched that. I would have been year 5 when I was watching that, so that would have been 10.
Yes,
and that is like, shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker.
Yeah.
And that's quite tame compared to some of the stuff. The only thing I have done with my little boy actually is I have played him a song from South Park, which is a song, Mr. Hanky, the Pooh. And there's a song called because he was just obsessed with the word poo for a while. And there's a song called Mr. Hanky, the Christmas Pooh. And it's just a silly Christmas song. It's like, Mr. Hanky, the Christmas Pooh, he loves me, and I love you. And it's just silly. It's
and is he enjoying it?
There's nothing naughty in there.
Do you know what? I've got this real issue now. Like Clementine, when I take her to school, she'll generally listen to my music. So it's quite funny because obviously she's so young. But if you asked her favourite song, she'd say like Prince, When Doves Cry, or something ridiculous because it's what I listen to. And that's what she now sings along to. Ma Baker,
Culture.
Or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Well, do you know what? Like I quite often on my thing will have Madonna. Like a prayer.
Virgin.
Well,
no.
like a prayer. Like a prayer.
Yeah.
Right? And she's in the back of the car. She's singing.
Me there.
Mate, she's sitting in the back and she's singing along. And bearing in mind she's 6, and she's going, down on my knees, I wanna. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
What's she singing about? Like, what's Madonna's implications here?
Well,
I've got a feeling it's blowjobs.
It definitely is, I think. But it's a Simpsons thing again, isn't it? Clementine is going to be taking that at face value.
Yeah.
Like, down on my knees, mate, having a prayer.
Yeah.
And that's the innocence of youth, isn't it? But yeah, there definitely is so much in that. I mean, like, is it Sabrina Carpenter, for example?
Yeah.
Her lyrics are ridiculously explicit, and she's got her whole audience is teenage girls.
When I was
Have you seen some
young.
of the stuff she does on stage?
What about when we were young? No, Christina Aguilera.
Yeah.
Remember that Dirty song?
I do.
And
indeed.
you got like,
I used to record that one when it was on TV.
You've at the time when that was out, I had kids at school sort of singing along to that without having any kind of actual understanding.
Is that
all that? Yeah, exactly.
Good music. Good music.
Exactly.
For the soul.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it is everywhere, isn't it? And it's even, we talked about it last episode. It's everywhere more than ever now. You can't get away from it, and you've got these parental guidance or parental controls on phones and things. But yeah, I think it's impossible to get him away from it. I just think he's a little bit young, like 4 years old, talking about killing.
Yeah, of course
the main thing is he needs to not be like worried about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or threatening murder at nursery.
Yeah, he wasn't doing that yet. But he does do that at home. He does do stuff like, if you do that,
I will kill you.
You said, if you do that, I'll smash your face in. And so like, obviously not going to smash my face in.
Turns into Bricktop.
But you're like, where do I go? Where do I go with this? I'm like, well, if you do that.
No, there is a very funny, almost awakening as a parent. I think every parent will have a moment where this completely chimes with who they are as a parent. The helplessness of being a dad. You actually have nowhere to go. Like this, if Clementine could, sometimes I say to her, now if you don't do this, I have nothing. You know, if she were to actually test me, if she were to actually test the theory, sometimes I go like this. I go 5, 4, 3. I'm thinking if I get to 1, I've got nothing to offer her.
Well, I mean, I do that, but I do things. Like I send him to his room. I started sending him to his room now.
He was au fait with the naughty corner, wasn't he? He was very familiar with it.
Now I've started sending him to the room, and he does respect it, I will say. If I send him to his room, and I'll say, right, the first time I did it, I put him in there, and I just sat outside the door for a few minutes. I said, you're not coming out. You're going to, 5 minutes, go and sit in your bed and think about what you've done. And then after he realised, I was literally holding the door closed, like when he tried to get out, and then he calmed down. And I've got his monitor so I can see him in there. And then I've done it only one other time since then, and I've just said, look, it's 15 minutes, sit in your bed, think about what you've just done, calm yourself down. And I'll watch the monitor the whole time.
Yeah, of course.
And he does. He sits there and he just goes, and he actually is good as gold in there. And I'll go, right, time's up, come and get him. And he's changed boy. I don't know if that's
I'm going to try that
anymore. Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to try that.
Listen, all you can really do is take bits that you've seen either done to you or other kids, or maybe you didn't like that were done to you, whatever, and trying to hone them. And obviously, the world is a slightly different place now. And there'll definitely be some people saying I shouldn't do that. Like, it's not like he's monitored.
Of course. Would you struggle?
Safe.
So, for example, if this happened, because I know this.
I used to get sent to my room all the time, by the way.
Yeah, I used to like it.
Yeah. That's why I think I like my own company.
Yeah, I used to like it. But how would you react to this? Because I need some advice here. Because this is how it would go with Clementine. If I said you're going to your room as some sort of punishment, what she would do, because she's quite emotionally charged, is she would break that. She would suddenly have a fit. She would be so upset at the prospect of being on her own, the prospect of being in trouble, the prospect of me being angry. It would all really matter to her, and she would suddenly be in floods of tears. That's where, if I say you're in trouble, she then starts crying, and I go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Jesus Christ.
This is the thing with, I can't speak to what it's like to have a girl, but the important thing for me in that is you have to ascertain whether they're real tears.
Yeah.
Because my eldest definitely does them for show.
Yeah.
And I always can tell the difference.
Yes,
there's little things you've got to look out for, like the way they're crying, the noise they're making, like the length of time that they hold the noises. Like a, you're fine. And then when they're really hurt, they almost go quiet. It's like, and they can't even get the noise out. Every kid's different, but you have to be able to discern the difference. He's actually upset, or he's actually hurt, or he thinks I'm a mug.
Yeah.
And then what I'll do if it's the latter, I think sometimes it might be tears, legit tears, but it's completely reasonable tears. And it's like he needs to learn to control his emotions. And that's part of growing up, right? So sometimes I think sending them to the room and letting them cry it out. And we're not talking about sending them in there for hours or leaving them on their own. I might be sitting the other side of the door, but just letting him experience the emotions and not cater to his every whim and say, look, you're in a bit of an emotion. I'm trying to talk you around. But you're not going to have it. So go and sit and just chill. I think there's something in that. I'm sure people might say.
No, it sounds like I'm going to try it.
Yeah. I mean, then ultimately.
Because I'm getting played up at the moment.
Yeah. He's in the eye of the storm himself with regards to his own like tantrums and stuff like that. And, you've got to figure out. And it's not ideal timing because our youngest is seeing him do it. And I'm trying to say to him, look, you need to be a good older brother.
This is educational. Yeah.
And they do. It's amazing how you see, like, he's got some pretty rambunctious cousins, for example. And if he goes and spends a day or two with them, he comes back and he's 20% more cheeky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he's seen them do it.
Are they older?
Instant. Yeah, they're all older, yeah. Well, there's a couple of young ones, but the older ones are the ones I'm referring to. And it does rub off instantaneously. Yeah. So you got to try and nip it in the bud. But you got to let boys be boys. You got to let them have a bit of fun.
No, you need that. No, you're absolutely right. Like, with Clementine, when she's playing me up, as frustrating as I find it, and I'm quite severe and quite strict, like Victoria thinks I'm very strict, I'm annoyed at the time, but I'm delighted that she's doing it. It's a rite of passage. She should be doing that.
And you want to teach your kids to be not
subservient.
Yeah, not subservient. You want a Christian authority. You want to have the backbone. It's just working out the line.
And have an opinion as well. If I say do this and she actually challenges me and says, actually, I'd like to do this, that's completely, in fact, it's more than allowed.
Yeah.
It's encouraged. I want the pushback.
I got an amazing conversation we had the other day, by the way. So I'm taking the dog for a walk and I get him to come with me, my oldest. And when it's a good walk and he's up for it, we have really good chats. And we're chatting along and I was telling him the story. Can't think how we got into this, but I was telling the story of Icarus, the guy who
flew too close to the sun. Yeah.
So I was telling him all about it. He's really interested in it. I was like, he flew too close to the sun. Fine. And then we're obviously talking about space. And in the story, I was like embellishing a bit. It's like he flew up and he flew past Mars and he flew past the sun. And he's like, Dad, space? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, how did it get there? And I'm like, well, okay. I said, well, there's a lot of different things on this. I said, well, some people believe that there was, all the things in the world, all the space, and one day that just none of it was there. And then there was a big bang and it just came about and everything started coming to life. And then, I'm simplifying it, but I'm like, and then our Earth came and there was trees and all these things, And he's like, wow. And I said, and some people believe that, it was put here and there was a person or a God. And I realized he's never heard the word God before. Yeah. And he was like, what's God? And imagine not understanding the concept of God. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, well, some people believe that there was like a person or a body or a spirit that created everything. Some people believe it just happened. He's like, what do you believe? I'm like, I've got to really think about what I say because I have my own beliefs, but also I'm really against indoctrinating kids. I want them to experience things. So I'll teach them everything I know of other people's beliefs and my beliefs. And I want to expose it all to him and then let him choose his own way. And that's why I don't agree with schools that hold separate spots for people of certain religions and all these sorts of things because they're basically saying, or they get funding because they're a certain religion. It's like, you shouldn't, that is indoctrination. I know they're doing it with a good heart, but equally it's like, let everyone just make their own mind up. I think anyway. So I'm not against religion and I'm interested in lots of religions. I think ultimately they share the same sort of perennial philosophies, right? So I was like, well, I believe, that everything's connected. So I was trying to keep it quite broad. And I was like, I believe everything's connected. I was like, like that tree. I was like, we're all made of the same stuff. It might be different in the way we act and live, but we're all sort of made of the same stuff. Like, did you know if you cut that tree open, it's got rings? And look at my fingers. See the fingerprints? They look just like them. Maybe we all came from the same stuff millions of years ago. Now we're different, but we're all connected. And he was like, I'm not connected to that tree. I can't touch it. I was like... Yeah. But he was interested in the concepts. And so he's like, what do you believe? And I said, well, what do you believe? And he went, well, I just don't know. And I was like, join the club. Yeah. None of us know. But it's, you don't think
very thoughtful conversation.
Well, I certainly wasn't having those conversations before. If ever I started interacting with those thoughts, it was probably as a teenager and it was completely off my own back. Yeah. No one was having them with me. And I don't know if it's the right thing to be having them with him. Yeah. Because what I'm really doing is I'm putting my personality onto him because I'm someone that likes to think about that stuff. Does that mean it's good for him too?
Are you at all religious?
No, not. I don't subscribe to any one sort of religion. I like a lot of Buddhism for sure, and like what that celebrates. And I think you can be Buddhist and you can still be part of another religion as well because it's really just about a set of values. And I believe in like the interconnectedness of nature and all the things that put us on the planet, and I don't really have a word for it or a name for it. Ultimately, a good religion is something that is trying to make you a better person. Yeah. And that is what a good religion does. So I understand there's many different ways to skin a cat.
Are you sort of institutionally religious? So for example, will you christen your sons?
No, definitely not. No, right. If they wanted to do that, I've got no problem with it. And in the later life, they'll be baptized or whatever. But again, why are we, no judgment for other people, but why are we christening children that have no say in it? You're basically saying, I'm like this, you need to be like this too. That's not the way. That's what it is.
See, I'm sort of institutionally religious. So for example, at some point you'll be getting an invite to a christening.
Yeah.
When I'm brown bread, you'll sing "Abide with Me" in a church. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of. That's my when I was born, I was christened. My children will be christened. When I ultimately die, it will be in a church.
When you christen your kids, are you doing it because you think it is helping them in some way?
Yes, I suppose so. In as much as it's like a rite of passage. Yeah. In as much as it's a rite of passage.
Tradition.
You're
a very traditional man.
I'm a traditional. Yeah. I am a very traditional.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. For me personally, I was christened, and I went to state, to C of E schools, and I used to love singing the hymns. Some of them were bangers.
Yeah.
In fact, one of my favourite memories is the last day of sixth form when they got us all together and they had us sing Jerusalem, because that is a banger.
Yeah, that is a banger.
And we sang it once, and everyone, it was like a football chant. Everyone was going so big on it because we were like so excited to school. We finished. And we went, again, rewind it. And we did it again. And we were like, and it does. It was so good. And I think there's so much to be said for community and the act of song and celebration. It's amazing. And like, love gospel music and love all that stuff. And like, oh, happy day.
Oh yeah, mate, you can't get a bit of that, when it's all that beat, don't burn on a grill. I love it.
I love it all. But I also think a lot of bad has been done in the name of religion. A lot of wars, a lot of mistreatment of kids and these things. I'm not naming any names or anything here. There's a lot of bad eggs in all kinds of groups. I don't believe in dogmatic extremism.
Which is exactly what religion
is. Yeah. But even it's extreme and they can't see the wood for the trees and they're so subscribed to their own thought processes that they actually might be doing bad things. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, and that's where I lose.
No, I don't think anybody, like, even so my mum is quite religious. I don't even think that my mum, who is religious, would believe that all religion, her specific religion, that everything that has happened within her religion is good. I think my mum would be very aware that there are permutations to that. Yeah.
Well, I used to say, I've got, my mum's religious and a lot of people I know are. And I said, for me, for example, if you, my version of it would be like, if you listen to some of the stories in the Bible, for example, and you can see the message they're trying to purvey and the positive archetypes and characteristics that you could take on in your life as a result of that story. That's great. But that's also in Lord of the Rings. No, it's true. That's what the Bible is, in my opinion. It's the first viral book. Yeah. A really good book. And everyone, this book is wicked. And it went 2,000 years. In 2,000 years, there could be people in a podcast having a conversation thinking that Harry Potter's real. It could be. Yeah. It won't happen because obviously in the 2,000 years from now, there'll be historical data to prove these things happened. We just haven't got the data back then. It's just a really decent book, in my experience. Right. So if someone says to me, Jesus made the water to the wine and all those things, do you understand what the relevance of that is and what they're trying to say? I say, yeah, I get it. Good story writing.
Good moral.
Good writing, that is. If someone says to me, I think it definitely happened in real life, then I'm like, okay, you might be losing me here.
Yeah.
Do you think Moses actually
I think that's one of the interesting things about religion, isn't it? You can be quite a rational person and then almost suspend your rationality in order to allow something else to flourish. It's like in the past when we've touched on Father Christmas and whatever. It's quite a nice belief. But it's just quite a nice belief.
I think that's a really good...
Heaven is quite a nice belief.
Best thing I can talk about with religion and my understanding of it is Life of Pi. You seen Life of Pi or read the book?
Yeah.
So that is basically what you just said. Yeah. Hopefully not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but basically this crazy story goes down with this lad on a lifeboat with all these animals, and it just seems too good to be true, or too crazy to be true, and it's quite incredible. And in the end, he's sort of rescued, and someone comes up, and it's basically been on this boat, and there's been like a lion on there. I can't remember. It's a tiger, isn't it? It's a tiger and these crazy animals, and just like he befriends this tiger, and it's crazy. And then at the end, when he's in hospital, someone presents me with a different version of reality, which is actually that none of that stuff happened. And actually there was people on the boat with them, and they were all basically destroying each other, eating each other and stuff to survive. And it's this horrible thing. And maybe Pi created this alternate reality as a coping mechanism, because it's actually horrible what he went through. And his family died and all these things. And what's interesting as well is the book actually starts with him as a young lad who's interested in exposing to lots of religions, and he goes to like a Hindu church, and he goes to a Christian church, and he goes to a Jewish one, and he basically says, I'm all of them. And they're like, you can't do that. And he's like, why not? Why can't I be a bit of everything? I want to take the good from all of it, which is definitely what I think in. So at the end, they're basically saying these guys do an insurance report on him, and they're like, we need to put down what happened. So did the tiger thing happen? Which is the most extraordinary story I've ever heard in my life, or did this horrible thing happen? And they're like, we just don't have any proof. We can't prove either way. And they go, well, let's go with the nice one.
Yeah.
And that is religion. In my opinion, you're never going to necessarily know if there's a creator or any of those things. It's a nicer story to think there is than we're just here stranded.
Also, sometimes, like, when I think about where it manifests itself for me, at Christmas, I'll go to a fairly late service with my mum, my nan, my children now. They'll sing. It will be a very kid-friendly service, and we'll all be in the pub next door in the garden. They got the heaters on. It's just quite comforting.
Community,
just quite nice. Lighting a candle,
Yeah.
So I was in Italy recently playing poker. Walk past the church. I'll go and light a candle for the special people who are no more. I don't think that candle is necessarily like. Effectively, what I mean is, I suspend my rationality.
Yeah.
I suspend it. I don't ask the question. Do I think that this candle is actually being lit in the honour of... Okay, probably not. If I'm being...
It's good,
but I just suspend it and go, this is quite a nice symbolic moment.
Yeah, ceremonial things are important. To I used to have this really bad OCD when I was a kid. And I used to have this thing where, and I grew up doing all that. I used to go to midnight mass with my mum and stuff. And I had this thing, I don't know how it developed, but if you ask Alex, because when she first started going out with me, it was pretty extreme, where I had this piece of paper on my wall and it had a tally chart on it, and I'd done a dash for every person in my life, or everything in my life was important. So it's like mum, dad, brothers.
Oh mate, that's quite extreme.
And maybe there's like 30 things on there, right? My dog, my nan, my granddad. And every night before bed, I went to this thing on the wall and I went for each dash. And then I went like this, and then I went like this. So I didn't pray or anything, but I had this little ceremony. I did it every night for probably 5 years. And when I started going with Alex, she'd be in the bed with me and I had to get up and do it. And then I stopped getting all the way to the wall. And even if I wasn't at that house, I had to get out of my bed. I had to stand up when I go,
right,
like this.
Going through everything that matters.
What the fuck are you doing, you weirdo? And eventually I cut it cold turkey and got rid of it. But that was my version of that. It was like, if I don't do that, something's going to happen to them. But also I want to like put the energy out into the world that I care about these people and all these things. So like, you don't have to necessarily be religious to have those ways of doing things, but we're definitely animals that like to create sort of ceremony and importance. Yeah,
realities as well, like alternate realities.
Yeah, but it's all things that you think about with your kids. It's so relevant, isn't it? Because you do have to make certain decisions. Mine is like one of, I ultimately am like a libertarian. I believe in everyone should be able to do what they want to do. Don't be a prick. Don't hurt people, but do what you want to do. Don't care who you want to love, who you want to celebrate or believe in. Like, just don't be a prick, basically. And so that has informed, I think, my parenting style, which is I'm going to expose them to ideas.
Yeah.
Make sure they get the crux of it. Abraham Lincoln famously said when he was asked if he was religious, he said, when I do good, I feel good. When I do bad, I feel bad. That's my religion. And that's a pretty solid religion, if you ask me. As long as you're teaching those ethics, they're not going to go too wrong. But if he wants to be religious, they want to go down that route, that's fine. I no judgment, as long as they're doing good things.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to approach it. It's all very deep.
It's deep. I mean, I like to get deep.
All very deep.
I've got some conversations here that have basically come as a result of comments and things we've talked about in the past, but one's really good for you. We want to talk about how to get kids involved in, well, sports, but also arts. And as someone who went to a performing arts school.
I did.
Like, how did that come about? I know your mum's got a background in that stuff. Is that her? Yeah. And was she sort of, in the same way we're talking about the religious thing, was she keen for you to follow her footsteps?
No. She certainly wasn't keen. She wasn't. There is a stereotype, isn't there, with kids that go to theatre school that they have pushy parents. And I certainly didn't. My mum wasn't that at all. If anything, she wasn't particularly fond of me doing it. I went to Sylvia Young as I was on the agency. So I would go to Saturday classes and I was around the school. I was represented by them.
You started doing parts and things at this point?
Yeah, I'd already done some work for them.
How old were you in your youngest part?
The first thing I ever did, can you believe this, was a Robert De Niro film.
What?
Genuinely, my first ever.
Did you have a scene with him?
No, I didn't have a scene with him, but I did meet him. But obviously at the time I was 11 or something. I didn't really resonate. But Robert De Niro played Frankenstein. So Mary Shelley's story of Dr. Frankenstein. Yeah. It was directed by Kenneth Branagh.
He played the monster.
He played the monster. Right. Robert De Niro was the monster. Kenneth Branagh was the director, and also in the film. And then the film flashes back to Kenneth Branagh as a child.
That's you.
And that's me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're young Kenneth Branagh.
I'm young Kenneth Branagh in Robert
crazy.
De Niro's Frankenstein. That was my first ever expose into...
What bunts do you get for that?
Not much. As a kid, I think it might have changed a bit. But as a kid, you didn't. As a kid, you
Not zero.
no, you were certainly paid, but it was like the child rate.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was in EastEnders, some of the youngsters became adults while I was working with them, and they noticed such a bump. You know, like there is almost a token gesture. I don't think you're allowed to earn too much money as a child because education has to be. I think there's guidelines to this.
Did you ever get to a point where you were having to do like school stuff on set? And,
you have tutors on set. You have tutors on set. Because what happened was, obviously, Sylvia Young, as a theatre school, it being a theatre school by very nature, it's a selective school, but it's also a fee-paying school.
Yeah, right.
But I was from a single-parent family. Like, that wasn't really an option for my mum. You know, she worked incredibly hard, but that wasn't an option. But Sylvia Young was incredibly kind as a woman. It was only in Marylebone. You could negotiate that you effectively pay your own. So if you don't earn any, as a child, if you don't earn anything, then you don't pay anything.
Right.
But there'll be an agreement that when you do earn, the school will take.
That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes sense.
Absolutely. And it worked very well for me. So, but no, my mum wasn't particularly pushy, but I loved it.
It was actually a means to an end as a result of expulsion. Do you mind telling us why you got expelled?
Oh, mate, I was expelled for a very unfortunate reason. We went on a school trip. We ended up in Belgium, and 3 of us left the premises.
And they expelled you for that?
They expelled all 3 of us.
How old were you?
12, something like that.
That seems quite intense. Was that first offence?
No. No. But that was the final. That was the final straw.
Did more than one of you get expelled?
3 of us got expelled.
Wow.
3 of us got expelled. But the problem is, it was midterm. And obviously I didn't want to. I'm already quite young in my year. My birthday's in July. Yeah. So there was quite a lot of talk of whatever school I was going to have to go to, I was going to have to re-sit a year. Mm-hmm. My mum was like, hold up. Like, he's naughty, but he's not a moron. Like, don't make him re-sit. He doesn't need to go back a year. And Sylvia Young effectively came to my rescue. And I will always hold her an incredibly... I've heard a lot of people recently talking about Sylvia Young and what she's contributed. I actually heard Dua Lipa very recently speaking to both a guy called Ray, who was the singing teacher at Sylvia Young, and she spoke about him in like the most glorious circumstances. Like Dua Lipa, she was incredibly articulate, but she spoke to his name was Ray, and I think he's still the singing teacher. He's my singing teacher, her singing teacher, but it's still, you know, decades and decades. She just waxed lyrical towards him and said he's the best teacher that anyone could ever have, and she effectively owed it all to him. I sort of feel a bit like that to Sylvia Young. Because it would have been very easy for her to not do that. Well, do you think that was in many? Because I know you obviously went on to do a lot of acting and things like that, and that probably might not have happened if you hadn't gone to Sylvia Young. Yeah, it certainly wouldn't have happened. So it's actually the making of you in many ways. Yeah, it was also the making of a personality, because I suddenly went into a school that allowed you to really express yourself. It was like it was wild. It was great, but you're suddenly in a class and there were like very good looking girls, and it was a great experience. How does it work in terms of you had a basic curriculum you still did as well? Like, you do. Well, it's a very weird setup. But going to a theatre school, what you would do is on a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you would go to a school in the way that you would go to a school. Whatever school you go to is like completely relatable to anyone else. You would wear a jacket, you would wear a tie, you would go to a school and you would sit English, maths, French, history, and you would learn for your GCSEs. On a Thursday and a Friday, you would go in a tracksuit, still school uniform, but still school provided, but a tracksuit. And instead of doing maths, English, French, history, your timetable would go jazz, tap, speech, singing. And you got some moves? No. It was. You would have absolutely no. I can't hold a tune at all. Like, you know how Dua Lipa was talking. It's so annoying. And these actors, and they can sing, and they're just so talented. I was the opposite. I couldn't do anything. I mean, I was. I thoroughly enjoyed the school. How did that feel in those classes? I bet there were some people in those classes that were like these all-rounders, super talented. Yeah, I mean, my class, my year group was exceptional. Not me. my year group was exceptional though. Just in my year, it was Billy Piper, Amy Winehouse, Matt Sargent. His name's now not Matt Sargent. His name is Matt Willis, who's in Busted. Yeah, of course, yeah. a girl called Jodie Albert, who was in a girl group called Girl Thing. Really, really, she's actually married to a guy at Westlife.
Right.
She was married to a guy at Westlife. Like there was like an abundance of incredibly talented people in my
Is that
year.
intimidating?
No, it was. Well, actually, at the time they were just, you know, like Amy Winehouse as an icon is somebody who I think is like a true brilliant representation of London. I think she is, you know, almost historic and amazing. And the story is a tragedy. But at the time when I knew her, she was 14 years old, man. She was just, you know, it was slightly different. But she shone, but not every, you know, there were some incredible singers in the sky. I actually remember a girl. I have no idea what she's doing. I haven't seen her since. But like the best singer in my year was this girl called Alison Brown. And I just remember her voice. You know, she used to like belt them out. But Billie Piper went on to have an amazing singing career. And
First cassette I think I ever bought, Honey to the Bee.
That's You for Me.
Great tune.
Yeah, that's great. She had some real bangers. But no, it was a great experience. And I'm Victoria's very reluctant. I'm quite open to Clementine, for example, who's got a personality. I'm quite open to her just dipping her toe in this world.
It links to an episode about homeschool, because what you went through is not that. I know you quite clearly articulated at the time that you'd sort of seen homeschool as this very formulaic just version of school at home, but actually what you went through is very similar. It's like you're condensed classic subjects to allow you to then go and pursue other interests, which you did for 2 days, and it's led to great things for you. And it sounded like it came out of an expulsion, but actually was the perfect thing.
No, it was perfect.
Yeah.
It was well, because do you know what else, Spence, as well? I'm sure that I wouldn't be here. Like the one thing that you have to be able to do at a theatre school is sort of express yourself. You have a class called Expression. Right. Like you actually have a class called Expression where we had a teacher, a girl called Jackie, it was about speech. It was like making sure that you enunciate, making sure that you speak properly. What are you trying to say? What emotion are you thinking? Okay, right, now let's work out how to articulate that. Let's make sure that you can find the vocabulary. Let's make sure that you have the vocabulary to make sure that you can, to ensure that what you are thinking is actually what you are projecting.
And that is one thing I have always thought about you, is you are very good at expressing yourself. I think your use of the English language and the quite erudite and your vocabulary is very good. It genuinely is.
That's very kind of you, but that would be from that.
Yeah, and that what an invaluable skill. Why are we not doing this more in schools? How is that any less of an important life skill than you know, geography? You know, I went to school, so I was really interested in the arts as a kid. I did school plays and all this thing, and I was really interested in it. You know, and I went to a school that cancelled theatre studies. They just got rid of it.
Really?
Actually, you know what actually happened is our theatre studies teacher molested a girl from the girls' school.
No.
And they just sacked him and didn't replace him.
You can't blame that. Like, that's horrific. You can't blame that on theatre studies. Do you not get rid of the subject? They didn't blame the teacher.
They didn't blame him. I think they just didn't bother replacing him. And we all suffered, or people like me who are interested in the arts, suffered as a result because we didn't get to do it for 3 years. And you know what happened then is I had my GCSEs ready to go, but I ended up changing last minute. The day before sixth form started, I changed school. I went to the school with some of my mates, which was both grammar schools, slightly better grammar school, but I went last minute. And they did theatre studies at this new school. And I was like, oh my God, it's my chance to do theatre studies. I've always wanted to do this. I've always been that guy. You know, I ended up doing stand-up comedy and all this stuff off the back of this. But I went into this theatre studies class, and it shows you how important things like teachers are. You mentioned the great music teacher at Sylvia Young there. This guy hated me. Right,
It can happen.
It
can happen.
And I was very full of myself at that age, and I, you know, suddenly loving the fact that I got to do theatre studies. And for whatever reason, he did not take a liking to me as a new student. He loved his boys that had been there and the girls that had been there for a while. Didn't like me. And I remember one first week, I think, of sixth form, we had to read Midsummer Night's Dream, come back to report on it, and no one had done it. Because it was a new thing. They would never had to do that sort of like theory part of theatre studies before, and everyone was adapting to it. And I was new to theatre studies in general, never been taught it apart from drama when I was 13, they'd been cancelled. So he goes around the class and he goes, you read it? No, sir. Have you read it? No, sir. You read it? No, sir. Gets to me, you read it? So I'm like, I'm safe here. You know, no, sir. Absolutely goes mad at me, bellows at me. How do you think you are? You're new. You should be working harder than everyone else. You've got to read it. And I'm looking around me like, they didn't read it either. Anyway, things like that kept happening. And I was quite upfront kid. You know, I'm quite an upfront person in general. So as a 16-year-old lad, I pulled him to one side after a lesson, probably 2 or 3 weeks into the thingy. And I said, sir, do you want to just tell me what your problem is with me? Because you clearly don't like me and you're making what should be my favourite subject very unenjoyable. Do you want me to change? Because I can still change. Like, and there's no other teacher. There's him or no one.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't say that. And I mean, what do you mean? He goes, I can't tell you to drop the subject. But if you want to do it, that's fine with me. So I was like, I'm not going to be mugged off. So I went down to the deputy head and said, I need to change subject. Ended up doing human biology, science. I hate sciences. I'm terrible at them. I ended up changing my subject all because the teacher didn't like me. Now, luckily, we had this debating club at school and I did it, and it's basically with stand-up, and it ended up training me for the stuff I ended up doing. And I ended up doing stand-up and ended up doing like people player comedy character stuff and all that. But I had no training in it because the teacher, well, first of all, my school sacked it off. Yeah. And the next school, teacher drove me out.
But mate, that's actually a tragic story.
But Joe, on the converse side of that, Joe, my favourite teacher was, I still talk to him now. I literally rang him up on his birthday 2 weeks ago. When I was in primary school, I had a teacher who, you know, and it's a shame, and it's very hard to tell this story because in the current climate, if you like, people ask questions about it, and it was completely on above board. But he was my form tutor. He was also my teacher, my tutor for my 11 plus, which I ended up going to grammar school, and he helped me do that. But he was a single man. I think the story was that I think his fiance had died many years ago, and he never got a new partner. So on the weekends, he used to do theatre trips. He would say, and it would all be, you get permission from the parents and that, and he'd take the kids who had been good in class to theatre. As a result,
that's fantastic.
In the ages of 10 to 11, I saw everything. Yeah. I went and saw Starlight Express, Les Miserables, Phantom of the Opera, you know, everything.
You might have seen me in it, miss.
I may have. Yeah, I may generally have. And I had this huge exposure that was not part of the curriculum. It's purely down to this excellent, amazing teacher who took me, and sometimes it would be a big group of us, sometimes it was just me and him. And he was like, he'd take us to everything, he'd pay for everything. He'd take us to nice meals, took us to like the Trocadero and give us money to play on the toys. It would all just be having a great time. It sounds like a weird story in this day and age.
No, it doesn't. I think it only sounds weird if you make it weird. It doesn't.
Yeah, and he was a family friend. He's still a family friend now. I go to his. He lived down the road from me. I see him every Christmas, and I bring him some chocolates and stuff. Rang him on his birthday the other day. I actually took my mum and dad to the theatre the other week, and I asked him if he wanted to come.
Fantastic to expose kids to that.
Yeah,
I take Clementine all the time.
But it's so expensive now.
It's so expensive, but that's something else that was born out of my going to theatre school. Just a love of theatre. Yeah. I reckon it's the one thing that I've kept doing for myself since parenthood, like first parenthood, Clementine. Like, you know, a lot of the man that I was pre-parenthood doesn't really exist anymore. Going to Chelsea week in, week out, following Chelsea home and away, following England. Like, I can't do it anymore. No. And also my appetite for doing it has suppressed. I can't get there. The one thing I will do, I still go to, me and my mum will go to a matinee. I'll go on my own to a matinee. You know, go to Leicester Square, get the cheap tickets out of the booth, just go to a matinee. Nice. I saw something called Punch the other day. It's about a one punch knockout. Okay. It's good.
I mean, that stuff is obviously increasingly becoming a luxury for, you know, certain elements of society because it's so expensive. It's crazy how much money it costs to go to theatre.
But everything now.
Yeah, everything, exactly. And that's another, I've seen a lot of things recently, like people appealing about the arts getting unfunded and all these things, and it's the first thing that goes, you know.
You know how you mentioned a Midsummer, it just reminded me, you mentioned a Midsummer Night's Dream. Can you believe this? Like, it just suddenly dawned on me when you said it. As I was about 11, I think, I started doing the VARS show. Do you know the TV series, the VARS show? Yeah. So there was quite an iconic sketch within the VARS show called The Competitive Dad.
Yeah, I know it well.
The young boy, Toby, was me.
Yeah. So I would have seen you so much as a kid. Obviously, I didn't know you at the time. Yeah. I would have watched so much of your stuff.
So I was Toby. And do you know what? One of the sketches is the parents go to a school play. The school play is A Midsummer Night's Dream, and the dad ends up jumping on stage. And do you know who's in the school play? Me, as his kid, Amy Winehouse.
Really?
If you watch the sketch, if you ever watch that sketch, which is about, you will see, like, you know, we've all got like donkey on our heads and like, you know, like a false donkey on our head and whatever else. Bottom, isn't it? It's a carrot bottom. Yeah. One of the characters on stage is Amy. Can you be like, yeah. It's such a
whole different life you lived, isn't it? Like a whole different world you were in as a child. It's a very interesting childhood, actually, to have.
She could be one of the most talented people that London has ever created.
I think so. I remember exactly where I was when I heard about her death.
How do I,
I was in Spain with my friends on a little trip, and we all found out, and we were like, oh my God.
It was in the middle of summer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember exactly where I was as well. I was celebrating my birthday on the rooftop of the Queen of Hoxton pub. I remember exactly. It took my breath away. Horrific.
She was in the 27 Club as well, wasn't she?
She was in the 27 Club.
And we're quite a lot older than 27. I think about that quite a lot. So many people that Otis Redding,
You're older than they are already.
Yeah, way older.
You're older than they ever were.
Yeah, and you think about what they achieved in their time as well. Like, but not everyone. Some people burn very bright.
Yeah.
Go out early. Some people.
Yeah.
It's like the slower.
Some people never burn.
Well, no, we've still got some fire left in us.
Yeah.
But yeah, to go back to that original point, whether it's the arts, whether it's the sports, I'm very keen. Our kids are young, and I'm very keen not to push anything on them. No. And like, for example, my eldest going to jiu-jitsu is very much something that I think what I have done, I'm not getting ahead of myself here, because he could give it up in a week. Do you know what I mean? It's so young. I played football at this age and I gave it up and didn't play again for 10 years. But what I did is I've tried to sort of inseminate little interest in him by just talking about him for a long time. So like when he was young, we'd always talk about me going to jiu-jitsu, and I'd talk about what jiu-jitsu is and why it's good and all these things. So when it comes to him actually being old enough to go, it wasn't this new alien concept.
Yeah.
It was like, it's my turn to go to jiu-jitsu, cool. Same with like family. I've always quizzed him on the names of his cousins and things, and made him like a point of pride that he knows the names of his family, because that reinforces the importance of family. So when I say, we're not going to watch TV today, we're going to go and see our family, he is on board.
Important. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think you do have to teach that stuff, and then it becomes natural.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'm quite keen on at least exposing Clementine to the theatre and the opportunity to be part of that world. Victoria's less.
Have you got any plans for Mother's Day coming up? So as people watching this, it would have happened, but as we're recording this, it's about to happen.
I have, because my mother takes things like this incredibly seriously.
You got, this is the thing, when you're in our position, you got multiple mothers to think about. You got, because obviously our kids aren't really doing anything for their mum. You have to do it, and you got your mum as well.
I'm going to try and organise a lunch, but you see, my Victoria will be very relaxed about Mother's Day. My mother will be highly animated about Mother's Day. She will want, like, we do a lot, me and my mum. I see her a lot. We go out for dinner a lot. There's a lot to be thankful for both of us. But if it didn't happen on that day, she would be livid.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you combine?
Pressure's on.
You can combine mothers.
Well, I thought I was working. I didn't realise it was FA Cup weekend. So I've said I'm not around, and we'll have to sort it out another time.
We actually had a game. We had a game obviously on the Saturday, but the team we were supposed to play is ground sharing, so it got moved to the Sunday. And then we were like, can we move it to last night because it's Mother's Day? And, like, you don't, semi-pro football don't you happen on Sunday, so it's usually fine. You don't clash with these things. And the league were trying to say, no, you can't move it. And we were like, eventually we got it moved because it's just crazy. You don't need to do it. But
what were you doing? You'd be going...
so I've got...
Because you're one of three brothers. There's three boys.
Yeah.
So do you all have to fight for the attention of mum?
No, not really. I think what usually happens is, my mum and dad are sort of in this holiday mode at the moment. They're going on a lot of holidays. They're away again right now. We've actually booked a cruise as well. We're going to go with my mum and dad and my family.
Everyone? The whole shebang?
My Alex and our kids. It's so hard. Right. It's so hard to align the diaries, man. It's so hard. But sometimes nice. We don't do stuff because we're trying to wait for that perfect time to get everyone together, and it never happens. So I'm just like, right, let's just do it.
Yeah. But
we're going to take on a cruise because they love a cruise at the moment. They're on one now. And we've never done one, so we thought we'd try it. My little boy will love it.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a casino there. I can play some poker on there. Could be
Mate, I've never been on a cruise.
No.
But I hear they are amazing.
Yeah, so we're going to do that. But Mother's Day wise, I think they're actually going to be away. But I was thinking more about Alex. I think, so Fridays I tend to spend on sort of family day because I miss so much weekends for football. So I'm going to take my boy out and we're going to go on a little shopping mission, get some bits. And then give it to her on the Sunday. That's
lovely.
Yeah, but she's good. Al's very big on like cards.
Yeah.
I'm not a card person.
I'm not either.
I think they're just a waste of time.
So do I.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't want a card from you. I don't know why you want a card from me. I don't get it.
I'm more than happy for us just to cancel cards.
Me too. I hate them.
There's no
I
need
hate
to
them.
It's a bad
I find them really I find them really pressurised as well. Like someone gives me a Christmas card and I think, you fucking bastard, I ain't got you one.
I know.
I don't want a card from you, ever.
It's when you get it from the neighbours. We get them from our neighbours and we're like, what, do we have to give you a card back now?
I hate them. They're the worst.
It's a waste of paper.
Mate, my mum is so good at cards as well. I'd say it's one of her best skills. She knows when it's like you'll get a card from her on your birthday.
Yeah, there's definitely a time and a place. My good friend of mine got married recently, and we were in South Africa for the wedding, and I went out there, and he'd written and obviously this was, obviously you get a card for the married couple or whatever, but he'd written cards, his friends, because there's only a handful of us there, and it's over in South Africa and that, and he'd written a really nice heart. This is someone I've known for like 20 years. a really heartfelt message about his friendship to me
that's different.
and what it means to him.
No,
and
that's
that is
a
like,
letter.
yeah,
That's a letter.
That's beautiful, and that I will keep. It's a treasured thing.
No, that's
but when you get a birthday card and then you open a cupboard and Al's got all these birthday cards from like 10 years ago, and you're like,
Hey,
what are you doing?
I want this crap. No, I'm with you. I also find it. To be totally honest with you, I got card anxiety. It really stresses me out.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if I didn't get my nan a card for, like, I'll give you the perfect example. Mother's Day, my nan was very important to me and was part of my life growing up. My mum, I went round her house earlier this week. My mum has a card there ready. Sign that for nan. Okay, if I didn't, look, my mum has realised that I won't. But if I didn't organise one, if I didn't sort my mum out a card, I would be like so much. And I'll tell you what, but it could even be like this. This is where I just can't get my head around it. We could go out for dinner. Obviously, I will pay. I will organise transport. I will do it all. If I haven't got the card, that will be a slight blight on the day.
Yeah. Right. Mad, isn't it?
There'll be a slight blight.
Mad.
Yeah, I find it such a stress.
What I do is I buy the cards in bulk. Do you do that?
No,
you
I don't need a clutter in my house.
No, but go and get a card. It's just funny, actually. Me and Al used to do this PO Box series on our YouTube channel where people would send us stuff and we'd basically open it, and it sounds rubbish, but people used to watch it. And one time this person sent us like 100 birthday cards with my face on them.
That's great.
So I was like, can I give these to people? Because it sounds very ego, like, you know, here's a picture of me.
Here's a picture of me, happy birthday.
And I've got them in the cupboard. But then what I do is I'll go and I'll buy like Costco or whatever, or off Amazon. I'll just buy like 100 cards, nothing on them.
Right.
So you can use them for anything.
Yeah.
As in, like, they'll have a picture or whatever, but it won't say happy birthday or anything. And I'll just keep them. And then, because you never want to go to the shop and get the card and it's so long. If I just got a card at all times, bang, right out.
What I'll do, I'm basically at this point in our lives at the moment, as you can imagine, everything's quite stressful. I will pop to our local massage place and I'll get Victoria a massage. And that will be Mother's Day. That will be, and it's very easy.
Take a leaf out of my book, you know, and I got you the little thing when Pandora was
You were fantastic.
Scratch cards, mate.
Yeah,
that's what I always do. Never give a card, just a card. Get a little scratch card, stick it in, or a lottery
and also,
ticket.
it could be beneficial to you.
Exactly.
Because if you win, you know, it's like, it's a gift that keeps giving, isn't it?
Scratch cards or lottery tickets, it just elevates the card to much more than a card, and the message is kind of irrelevant.
If I was emperor, which some would say I should be, cards would be gone.
Yeah, I agree.
Clinton's out. Both the card shop and Bill. Gone.
I'm happy to sign off on that petition immediately.
Yeah, hate them.
Get rid of cards. But what I will say with Al is, like, she's quite like, she's got her things. She'd expect something, but if you do the thing, it doesn't have to be that lavish. She's quite solid. Like, you know, get a nice card, cook her some nice breakfast, maybe a little gift, and that's like, she's buzzing with that.
Easy.
Yeah.
I'm an easy person to buy.
Yeah, Alex is very.
I'm an easy person to buy. But Victoria's easy. Massage.
Yeah.
Can't lose. You just can't lose.
Yeah.
In fact, sometimes it's not even a massage. Sometimes I just go to the place, Bliss, and I just get a voucher. I'll go, can I have £100 worth of anything? And she can decide what she wants.
Vouchers are. I'm definitely a fan of vouchers.
Yeah, M&S voucher. Yes, please.
Because it's so hard to buy stuff.
Do you know how much fun I have in Marks and Spencer's when I've got a voucher? Like it's my happy moment. Just walking around Marks and Spencer with a voucher. I'm like, ooh, do I want pants? Do I want socks? Do I want both?
What a day.
Yeah, what a day
out.
Yeah.
Speaking of spas, something you should maybe think about is getting Victoria a massage for her cesarean scar.
Okay, is that a thing?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So you know, I had shoulder surgery last year, and it's all fine, but I didn't. It's what you're supposed to do when you have surgery, and it's different in every part of the body. But you're supposed to get the scar tissue massaged out, because the sooner you do it, once the injury's healed, the sooner you do it, it's a massive difference to if you don't do it.
Okay.
So after a year after my surgery, I was noticing some stiffness in my arm, and like I had my little boy on my shoulders, and every time he's trodden, it really hurt. And I was like, oh, is my injury back or whatever? And it's not. It's just the scar tissue. So I started going to this sports massage, like, you know, not enjoyable, really horrible. And it was the first one she did. She basically beat the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And for the next 2 days, I couldn't even lift my arm up. It was so agony. Then the next one, it's nowhere near as bad. And now it's basically all gone, the scar tissue.
Brilliant.
So it's the same with that. Obviously, you can massively reduce the sort of hardness of it.
Okay.
You get it looked at, and I think it's like after a couple of months you can start doing it. So Alex hasn't actually done that yet, and I'm trying to get her some.
This isn't done from like a nice holistic.
No, it's literally to break up the scars.
This is somebody like sports massage.
Yeah, I think with the cesarean one, it's not going to be as bad because it's very sort of fleshy area.
Yeah.
It's not, but where I'm getting mine is on bone basically, and it's much more uncomfortable. But it's going to just make that a less of a thing. She'll probably be doing like the bio oil and all this stuff that they do, but actually the scar tissue that is inside to break down, you need to massage.
On it.
Yeah, it's a nice little thoughtful gift, isn't it?
I'm on it.
Right, we're going to finish now with something new, which is our talented producer Saffron has put together. Obviously, we come from a football background.
We do.
VARs, but we're going to do our very annoying reality when it comes to parenting. We're both going to say maybe decisions or things we've done, and it's going to go to VAR, which is going to be the other one, and they're going to say whether the goal stands or if disallowed, i.e. did you do a good job or not, okay? Do you want me to start with mine?
Yes, please.
Okay, so recently, my little boy, for whatever reason, we're in party season right now. Every Saturday is going to a birthday party. I think it's going to be the 4th Saturday in a row.
Though. It's great. It's
yeah,
like free
you said you love them, didn't you?
Great.
Remember before? Well, sometimes it's great. I mean, it's like crazy. They get loads of cake and he just goes absolutely mad. But anyway, a couple of months ago, it came round to organising his birthday party for his 4th birthday. And obviously we're going to him, who do you want to come? And you can't invite everyone from nursery. There's a lot of kids and stuff. And you want it to have some sort of valuable time with the people. So you're trying to ascertain at a very young age, who are your mates? And they're not going to keep mates with half these people, but who are the ones you want? So he gives us a list. We're like, cool. I think we had like maybe 25 kids invited. Cool. That is the list. Done. Invite people out. Then, and this is maybe a month in advance of the party, 2 weeks later, there's a specific lad who he's having a bit of trouble with. It's the same lad, we talked about it on an earlier podcast when he told me that story, and he was
we're going to have to crush this kid.
So he basically goes, I don't like this boy anymore. And we're like, okay, do you still want him to come to your party? And he's like, no.
Oh
I don't
my
want him
God,
at
you
my
have to
party. He's gonna ruin
de-invite
my
someone.
party. So then me and Al are like, right, is this like a flash in the pan thing? They're going to be mates again next week? Or do we have to uninvite him? Because last thing we want is to ruin our boy's birthday party. If he's actually scared of the boy or doesn't like him, but then we've invited him, we know the parent, like what do you do? So we left it a bit because we thought we can always uninvite him last minute if we have to, or like figure out a thing. But hopefully they'll just become better friends. Gets closer and closer to the party, and he's basically like, he can't come. I don't want him to come. I'm like, I don't know what we're going to do here. Because I've got two choices, right? You uninvite the boy, you go to the whim of your child, potentially create an issue with a parent, etc. But you don't invite him.
Yeah, you say to your boy, look, you've invited him now, you're going to be friends.
And you invite him and you sort of teach your boy a lesson. Look, we asked you, we sat down with you, who did you want to come? And you've asked us to invite him. You got to stick with that. But if he was like 10 or 15, I think that would be a fairer angle. But it's 4. And ultimately, you don't want him to be upset. So I'm like, when these things come up, I think what happens sometimes is you get stuck in a like black or white. Do you do this or do you do that? And sometimes actually it's just better to talk things out. So I said to Al, you know what we should do is we should actually just talk to the parent and say, we have an issue. What do you think we should do? Like, actually have the conversation. Say, look, this is 100% what's happened. I'm not blaming your child. It could be two-way. There might be nothing actually going on there.
I'm dying here, and it's nothing to do with me. This is so awkward.
So basically, I wrote a message. It came from Al, but she asked me to write it. So I wrote a message from Alex to the mum. And just said, look, it was like it was a Thursday night. The party was on Saturday. So look, we really don't know what to do here. So we're just going to tell you the truth. Our little boy has been saying that you guys haven't been getting on at nursery. He's got his party coming up. We want you to come, but we also would love you to have a chat with your boy and find out what's going on from your side. And is there an issue there? Because the last thing we want is our little boy's party not to be enjoyable. I'm sure you can understand that. Yeah, and let's just figure out what to do with all this.
It's a good approach. You phrase that nicely.
Yeah, so before we talk about what happened as a result, I guess that's the VAR. Do you think that was
so far
right?
You've done well.
Should I have uninvited? Should I have taught my little boy a lesson? Or should I have gone...
Annoyingly, and I don't necessarily want to give you the amount of credit that I'm going to have to give you here, I genuinely believe that you've handled this perfectly.
Well, sometimes the least comfortable thing is the best thing, isn't it? And that was definitely the least, because we could have just gone, oh, sorry, we could have come up with some bullshit excuse, or we could have just let them come. I thought, no, we just
Did their parents reciprocate your grown-up approach?
Yeah, they responded, and as you would expect, they were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear this. We didn't know anything about it. All this boy does is talk about how much he likes our boy. Yeah. And it's like, I think they're friends, like genuinely. And whatever. And so it was the right thing. And then we spoke to our lad about it and we said, look, we talked to his mummy and we're going to talk to him. And I said, I'm going to meet him at the party. And I was like, and if he does anything naughty, I'm going to, don't you worry, Daddy's there to sort you out. But also I knew what I was really going to do was get to know the boy and then like be the conduit for them to be friends. And that's what I did. And they ended up having a good time. And now they're best mates. Now they're like,
great.
They pick them up from nursery, like kissing each other on the head.
Well, I'll tell you what, sir. That is a round of applause for me. Yeah, you've done well there.
Goal stands?
Absolutely. Goal stands, mate. You've done really well. See, that's the kind of thing where I would panic. I would just hand over to Victoria. I'd be like, I can't be part of this. This is the worst thing that's ever happened in my life. I can't handle it. I'm going to now go and pretend it didn't happen.
Well, I just think there's so much evidence of this in our lives where you have this issue, and I think, again, we talked about it before with WhatsApp and stuff, like in family groups and things. It's like all these politics, or what sometimes is not said becomes a big issue, and no one's actually said the thing you're annoyed with them about because you're reading too much into it. And my general response to all this stuff is just ring them.
Yeah.
Ring them, tell them how you feel, because they care about you.
I think you handled that perfectly.
And they will go, like if it's your family especially, if you say, I've got a problem here, I feel this way, and it's because of something you said, any reasonable person that you in your life, and if you love them, they probably are reasonable, will go, oh my God, I didn't mean to cause this. Let's talk it out. But people are scared to do that sometimes, that little difficult combo. The difficult combo.
Mate, you did incredibly well. And so did the other chap's parents. It sounds like you all, and the kids involved.
Yeah.
Mate, it's a rip-roaring success.
They're good pals now.
Yeah, that's good.
Actually, the party we're going to, I think this Saturday, is that other boys' party.
Oh, mate, this is a dream. You're going to be all in Nikos and Lucia together soon. Like, this has worked perfectly. My VAR situation doesn't paint me in a good colour at all.
Okay.
And I'm slightly concerned now because yours was great. I'm just going to tell you what I did this week.
Right.
I was really struggling. I had a very tough work week. I was struggling with Pandora. And as a result, do you know what I did on Tuesday? I totally created a fake work appointment.
Oh, wow.
Like a totally... So I told Victoria that I had a call time. I told Victoria that it was a brand thing that I had to go and do. I told Victoria that I had to get to a very particular part of London that meant I had to leave early. I said, and I made it up completely.
What did you do?
I said, I have to go to the Elephant and Castle. I ain't been to the Elephant and Castle for years.
So where did you go?
I went to the gym and I had a sauna. I went for a massage. I walked through Regent's Park on my way into the West End, where I went for lunch in Selfridges, and I had a salt beef bagel. And I just had quite a nice day. And I deserved it.
Does she know this yet?
No.
And she watched the pod?
She certainly is across stuff.
Okay.
But
Saffron, if you clip this up.
On some level, I'm kind of using this as an opportunity to confess because I feel slightly guilty. But on another level, it was a really strong decision from me, and I will do it again in the future.
Right. Do you want my 2 cents on it? I think it's absolutely fine to need that and do that. And I don't know the level of, the way you and Victoria work, but I would just tell Alex that.
No, Victoria is amazing. She would be fine. She would honestly be fine. The reason I didn't was my own guilt.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't, when I was in the house and at various points because of Clementine and Pandora, like it felt like the ceiling was crumbling in, and I was just sitting there and it was all going on around me, and I just thought, I can't do anything here. So I just went, because if I'd said to her, I'm just going to go to the gym, she'd be like, okay, go, you weirdo. Whereas if I said, I have to go to the Elephant and Castle, to a studio that doesn't exist, she said, of course, go.
I mean, listen, far be it from me to be like preachy or anything. We all do our own things. But I think that the downside of that is, and I'm not saying it would with you, but that could become a slippery slope. Like, you doing that was the right thing to do in the sense of you needed that break. You needed that headspace. You should definitely go and do that.
Spence, you're right.
I am not for 1 minute saying you shouldn't have gone and had your day to yourself, just like Victoria should do it when she needs it. But Alex will, if she get back on the pod, she'll probably talk about this another time, is sometimes I am too honest, like to the point where I'll tell Alex stuff and she'll be like, why have you told me that? It's really annoyed me to tell me that. It's better not to know.
Yeah. Could you extend the courtesy of lies to me, please?
No, and this is the trick. Sometimes I'll do something and I'll tell Alex it and she'll react in a certain way and I'll be like, I shouldn't have told you that, should I? I should have just kept it to myself. And she's like, well, no, I don't want to endorse you being less honest.
Yeah.
But equally, there's a middle ground maybe. You just don't say anything.
You see, the reason why, and this is all part of like being really sleep deprived and struggling generally, but the reason why I went with this is because I thought it could be a recurring brand deal that I work with. I was thinking like, future, you got to go long term with
this. New podcast.
Yeah, it's a new podcast. Every other week I have to go to the Elephant and Castle all day. I ain't crossed the river for 10 years.
You should look into that, because that's a big part of your facade. It needs to exist.
The Elephant and Castle, yeah.
Place needs to exist. Yeah, I'm just going to Woolworths.
So yeah, I mean, and also, do you know, if I was scoring this, if I were using VAR on myself, I mean, I think no goal. I would say
it is a tricky one. It's one of them where it's taken us a long time. Everyone, the crowd's getting a bit tetchy, but we're really watching it. We're watching it, and I think ultimately, I am going to probably say I can't allow the goal. only because of the dishonesty is the bit. The actual act, I think, is good. I think it's good awareness of you of what you need to go and do that. But from what I know of Victoria, I think she'd have celebrated.
She would have said go.
And the dad guilt thing is so legit though.
But you can't say it in the circumstance. You can't say I'm going to the gym and to have sauna and a steam room. I'm going to go and swan about in my Vilbequins. You can't say that.
It's funny, isn't it? Because the dad guilt, which I 100% resonate with, is like way worse than the actual reality of the guilt in the sense of that they don't care, mate.
Care.
Half the time they don't care. But we create it for ourselves. So my reality is the opposite, whereas I will go, Al, I'm going to the gym and I'm going to do a sauna and I'll be a couple of hours. After this, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do a sauna and I won't be back as soon as I could have been if I'd gone straight home. Al does not care. And in fact, I'm so annoying sometimes that she prefers it when I'm not there, right? But sometimes it's like, do they need to know you're going to sauna for their own benefit? Because they might. I sometimes do think that. Does she resent it because maybe she can't do some of those things at the moment, or she's been, I'm very into my fitness and stuff, and Al is too. But when you've got a baby that's just on you all day, you just cannot commit to it in the same way.
If anyone is watching this, please don't judge me. I am just so you know, full of self-loathing about this. And if you've ever done anything similar, if you've ever just created an imaginary appointment in order to legitimise your exit, let me know.
I have got a bone to pick with you, actually, by the way.
God, what now? Mate, I'm a very vulnerable man at the moment.
Well, because I don't want to heap the pile on here. Guilt. But, we did that ep with Al the other day, and I told that story about my Costa Rica flight, and I was like, deservedly maybe got some criticism. We've since found out that Tennessee, Danny Aarons' partner, has watched that pod and apparently is fuming with me as well.
It was like one thing they said and I was like, don't let this get into your head.
No, you've had a couple. It's come into your account a couple times.
One or two things. Do you know what, right?
Okay.
They said they'd like to get me on the pod. Well, I want to go on their podcast.
That's going to be messy. It's going to be messy.
No, they're grown men. They can hold a debate with a young chicken, with a young mum.
Young chicken.
She's correct.
She's correct. Let us know who's right. This is your own opportunity for VAR. We both scored own goals here.
This is not a good episode for me.
No, but it's real. It's reality, and I'm enjoying it. And we'll be back very soon with another one, of course. Make sure you're following us at Internet Dads Pod and get in touch on the email or through the other social media platforms with your dad diaries. We'll get back to some of them soon. And we've got some more guests coming up soon, hopefully, as well. So lots to look forward to. We'll see you on the next one.